Today, I'm excited to chat with Jason Miller. Jason is the head of people intelligence and AI at Natera. He's worked at companies like Roblox, Cloudera, VMware. I'm excited to have this conversation.
I'm running a really cool team out at a genomics company called Natera, where we're really focused on kind of trying to approach talent a little bit differently and really lean in super heavy to building our own stuff with AI.
I love that idea of just somebody scrappy who's not afraid to build. I think this is the future direction in which talent advisors, recruiters, heads of TA are moving. The days of being order takers largely still sucks for everybody.
I dig the craft of recruiting, man. And it's like, it's this misfit toy thing, like nobody majors in it. And then we all find ourselves in it. If you see something that you think you could do better, take a crack at it. And if you get stuck, ask for help, find communities, come to prompt mates, hit me up on LinkedIn. Like, now is our time if we do it right. I firmly believe.
Hey, everybody. This episode of Building the Talent Machine is brought to you by our sponsor, WellFound. If you're a recruiter like me, you're probably always looking for a smarter, faster way to find startup-ready talent. Well, WellFound has you covered. It gives you instant access to a talent pool of 10 million plus startup-minded candidates from all around the globe. You can set up everything in just 10 minutes or less, from posting jobs to building your employer brand and managing applicants, with everything you need to kickstart your recruiting in one place. Need data? WellFound integrates seamlessly with your ATS and helps you stay organized without the chaos. And if you're ready to supercharge your sourcing, meet WellFound AI. Stop scrolling and start hiring. WellFound AI reviews hundreds of profiles each week. It reaches out using hyper-personalized templates, and when candidates respond, it manages the back and forth for you. All that's left is one click to approve, and your calendar fills up fast. So if you're ready to find, connect, and hire your team from pre-seed to IPO and build with the best startup talent out there, WellFound makes it happen. Check out wellfound.com and see how fast you can tap into the startup talent ecosystem. Now, let's go build a talent machine. All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the show today. I'm excited to chat with Jason Miller. Jason is the head of people intelligence and AI at Natera. He's worked at companies like Roblox, Cloudera, VMware. Jason's an internet friend of mine. I'm excited to have this conversation. What's up, Jason?
Hey, what's up, man? Super happy to do this today.
Heck yeah. Where are you based and what are you working on?
I'm out here in Austin, Texas for the last 8 years. I got here before all the other Californians. Born and raised out in the Bay. Grew up, in and around the tech space. And like you mentioned, right now, I'm running a really cool team out at a genomics company called Natera, where we are really focused on kind of trying to approach talent a little bit differently and really lean in super heavy to building our own stuff with AI and doing some kind of interesting things with some of these assistive technologies that are out there.
Dude, that's awesome. I got to say, I love when I meet somebody on the show who takes the call from their office. Like, I know you because I know your posters. Talk a little bit about how you show up online. I know you're a LinkedIn guy like me, but what keeps you logging in?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Funny story about the posters. I found out very quickly in the pandemic that I have the type of head that if you blur your background, it cuts your ears off. Like, yeah, dude. So like for the first week of COVID, I looked like a toe talking to people. So I like really quickly had to kind of throw some stuff behind me. And now, funny enough, it's actually been a bit of a calling card. Like, about 6 months ago, a good friend of mine, we both know him, Joe Atkinson, I was kind of talking with him and I was like, man, I want to start making some of these videos like you do, but I don't know what the heck to say and I don't know what my voice is. And he was like, just start putting stuff out, dude. And the first 10 are going to be terrible, but like, just put them out. And I started putting them out and started kind of talking about what I want to talk about, that like, it's our time. I believe firmly that like we, as recruiters, will start making our own stuff as opposed to waiting for someone to give solutions to us. And then I started having people reach out to me and just want to chat. And the first thing everybody mentions is like, dude, your background's so cool. And then like I'll move a painting and it freaks them out. It's like, no, this is real.
It's so good. You did that freaking AI robot thing, and now every time I see you when you post a video, I'm like, when is it going to happen? Like,
That's
even
funny.
Right now, I'm like, he's going to turn into a robot.
That's funny. That's funny.
What was that? That was like, to me, that's like your calling card, whereas like, that's when I knew you, Jason, like the dots connected in my mind, whereas like, this is that person that I see every day online, and now we're homies. because
That's
after that we
funny.
had a call. But like, what was that you did?
Yeah, that was like way back, 4 months ago or whatever. Back when like you had to be smart at prompting to make videos. Nowadays, you can just like roll it out. I mean, Sora came out last week, and I mean, it's like using TikTok now. But yeah, that was using a thing called Midjourney, and you were able to basically put a photo of yourself in, and I think it could make 6 seconds of video, sort of thing. And jump to last week, dude, I put out a fake video of me doing a TED talk talking about AI in the recruiting space. And the amount of congratulations that I got from people that I haven't talked to in years because they thought I did an actual TED talk was out of control. I mean, literally 15 plus people. I had VPs at the company I work at reaching out to congratulate me. And I'm like, oh my God. So I had to go back and be like, this is fake.
Oh my God, dude, that's so good. I'm going to do this thing called the recruiting road trip. And I'm doing that exactly where it's like I want to create like an AI version of it as a teaser before I start doing it and be like, yo, coming soon. So I'll have to hit you up for that, for how to do one. Because I feel like what you're doing right now, the workshopping, what you're building, you talked a little bit about how you're building your own talent machine. I'm stoked.
Yeah. No, well, it's like I said, I'm at this point where forever, dude, in talent, any tool that we wanted, right? As a leader, we had to beg for money for, and then you would do this amazing proof of concept, and then you'd get it in the doors, and it wouldn't quite work the way you want it. But like, you couldn't go to your, head of HR or your COO or your CFO, who you report into, and say like, hey, that $100,000 I just spent, turns out that product didn't do everything I expected it to.
Mm-hmm.
So we were caught in this like cycle, right? And I genuinely am now starting to see, and it's probably been about a year, but really over the last couple months, like people are building their own stuff, and it's not necessarily better than the big stuff that's out there, but it's more specific to their individualized needs. And like, that's where I kind of geek out, dude. It's like, we're making custom solutions for ourselves for kind of the first time ever.
Tell me a little bit more about that. What are you building?
Sure. It started off by just what we called paper cuts. Like, we wanted to find like, what are the little 5 and 10 minute things that like screw the recruiter's day. And everybody's different. Some people have got that like bank of template emails that they love. So like, sending emails for them isn't really a problem. So it's like, cool, that's not a paper cut for you. Don't fix that. But I know there's a lot of us that have to run around and get interview feedback from like 6 different places, text messages, and some of it's in your ATS, and some of it's in an email, and maybe some of it's in chat. Like, so I talked to somebody that was like, yo, I just screenshot all of them. I throw it into an LLM, and then I have all of our, stuff captured. So you started to collect all these use cases of where people were solving these small paper cuts. And then that grows and grows, and you start to learn, oh, I can do this. Well, I can do that. So the thing I'm working on right now is at Natera. It's a really cool company, man. It's, I used to joke when I'd work at Roblox or I'd work at Cloudera and stuff, well, I'm not curing cancer. Like, I'm literally curing cancer at this point. Like, I mean, that's what we're doing. But that also means that we look for oncologists and phlebotomists and machine learning folks and AI people and folks that make sure that patients get their bills covered. And it's just such a wide variety of things that no one tool is able to solve it all. So what we started doing was building our own stuff. And it actually started with building our own talent pools. And then we had to find something that could swim in those pools and look for the types of people we needed. And then we needed something that, once we found the people, could actually speak the language of them when you reach out. So like, each step was just us having to custom build a solution specific to our needs.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that idea of just somebody scrappy who's not afraid to build. I think this is the future direction in which talent advisors, recruiters, heads of TA are moving. Gone are the days of being order takers, gone of the days of white glove service, all of these tropes that honestly haven't really worked well for recruiting in the last 20 years because it's largely the same and largely still sucks for everybody.
Yeah, and like, here's the deal, man. Like, this is my old guy in the room, like old guy yelling at clouds thing when it comes to recruiting. But it's like,
all right, here we go. We're getting yelled at by a thumb.
Yeah, exactly. By a thumb with cool paintings behind him. It's like, dude, things have become so homogenized. Like, we look in the same pools and everybody's resumes look the same. And we're all using kind of the same technology to write our interview questions. And it's like, you've kind of got you got this factory line now. And some people are better interviewers than others, And my thing is, if you just stop for a second and you kind of hyper personalize the way that you at your company approach talent, like that becomes a differentiator. And like, I'm not here saying like, I have zero interest in designing an ATS. Like I have zero interest in trying to design and go up against some of these like video transcription interviewing things. Like that's not what I'm a proponent of, but I am a proponent of being like, hey, I know that company has people that do things that I really, really like. Why don't I go pull every single person that works at that company? And then why don't I build a little like agent that learns everything about all the people at that company? And the neat thing too, man, is like, if I build something and I give it to someone on my team and it takes 90 seconds to return an answer that they ask, like they don't care. But like LinkedIn doesn't have that luxury. Like LinkedIn's got to give you an answer in like 2 seconds. Right? Because that's what we're used to. But LinkedIn's got 1 million customers to serve. I got 1 customer.
And this is where it's almost like talent intelligence has moved into the role of like researcher for like hardcore sourcers. And this idea of isolating talent density, talent mapping, understanding like where people come from, what orgs they build, and where they go from there to identify, who are the types of folks that we would potentially want to recruit in the long run. So to hear you talk about that at a granular level is a reflection of the diversification in the market. So the ATS market itself is projected to X in the next 5 years, which is wild because, it's easy to build an ATS or easy enough to build an ATS and throw some branding on it and sell it. But I think what's going to be different is what you're talking about. How do you deliver like exceptional, precise value that's niched down that exists within the existing ATS infrastructure? And there are companies right now building within those larger enterprise tech ecosystems doing really cool work for clients. For example, like there's this one platform out there that's doing like really good SMS messaging and campaigning and working on AI agentic interviews at the very, very top of funnel for a specific sector of the S&P. It's like not being everything to everyone, but being something to the right person. So I applaud you for picking up on that and building quickly.
Yeah. And I will tell you, man, I mean, I agree with you that ATS 3X makes a heck of a lot of sense to me. And I welcome diversification and specialization, especially in that world. I think what we need to do is actually get to the point where we give candidates an opportunity to individualize themselves. And that's why, some of the bigger ones out there are talking about like candidate portals and such. Like, I think that is a super untapped market. And the reason I say that is, especially a lot of us in recruiting, I mean, it happened to me. Like, I know what it's like to be like, dude, I had to apply to so many jobs that I don't even remember all the jobs I applied to. Right. And it's like, I remember thinking to myself, like, if only I had an ATS for my job search, basically, that, I could pop in the morning and see basically see where I applied and if the resume had gotten read and like these sorts of things. That's where I think you're going to start to see is people can individualize themselves at the candidate level in a portal. I think that'll be kind of a big turning point for us.
Yeah, dude, for real. It's like this idea of building something that people actually need and want, and larger systems building these candidate portals is a reaction to like the insight Boolean strings you can write as a job seeker and throw into your search tab to find like, you can modify based on time too. So you can get like an index of what are the roles that have been posted in the last, 60 minutes or 2 days or a week. And the fact that platforms are responding, I think like the role of, say, an ATS vendor is a couple of things. It's make a great product that's seamless to process candidates for the user being the recruiter. But then it's also data security. I think a lot of teams at ATS companies on the engineering side are focusing on data and locking down that data. And then that's the third piece is then how do you create something cool for candidates? And maybe it's that centralized hub. It's bringing in elements of candidate experience where maybe you're able to see all of your active job applications across one company. I know there are companies doing this now, and it's exciting because even though it's an employer's market, we need to index on candidate experience. Great talent is still not going to be applying inbound and taking 25th percentile job offers. We still need to recruit. But I think for a lot of folks, because of the bull market over the last, the bull market lasted 13 years, I think a lot of folks that fell into recruiting in the last, say, 3 to 5, they don't know what it takes to recruit. They don't know how hard this thing is.
It's, believe it or not, even though I called myself the old guy, I am still defensive of those folks that got in the last 3 to 5 years. Because I hear that a lot. And the analogy that I use is like my kids have grown up with, for all intents and purposes, my kids have grown up with DoorDash. And it's like,
okay,
it's something to that effect, right? So it's like, I can't fault them for not knowing how to use a bow and arrow to go get their dinner. Like they've never had to, right? They've never had to. And I would argue they probably know how to use DoorDash better than me. So what I'm trying to say, so where I'm at with it, dude, is like, I grew up in open source, with Cloudera, and previous to that, VMware. So that's very much always been part of me, is like, I believe we can use this new technology to kind of be the great equalizer.
I love it.
Like, I don't know what it's like to, run the data engineering recruiting function at Meta. I've not done that. But like, I can tell you what it's like to take 2 companies public. So it's like, let's use that experience for me. And then like, dude, with 3 years of data ML recruiting Meta, like, let's learn what you learn. And then let's build a system that takes it both.
I actually really appreciate your perspective there. In real time, that softened my perspective. I think I've been hanging out with some stodgy folks that are pushing back on recruiting and what it looks like. So thanks for challenging my perspective. I really enjoy being wrong publicly. This is not getting edited out. And I love it. It also comes from a place of wanting to give back. I'm actually not that cynical. And I'm really curious and frustrated. Curious for where is the next generation of recruiters? So that 3-year ML recruiter from Meta, where are they? And then I'm frustrated that Meta doesn't write them a check to come to the conference and to be a part of the community.
Super well said.
We're not seeing enough younger recruiters and earlier career folks in the HR tech world. I've been boots on the ground at the major conferences, and it's all vendors, it's all marketers, marketing to marketers. It's all the usual suspects. I don't see a team of 10, 25-year-olds palling around the conference together, and I crave that. And I think it's tragic that companies aren't investing in that career development. Because, you can go to conference and learn. You can go to conference and meet your heroes. But you can also go to conference and just hone the soft skills of what it means to interact, to do business development, to practice your social skills. Because here's the kicker. That 3-year experienced recruiter, their counterpart in sales is getting paid and is learning those soft skills that are going to benefit their career. And the skill sets are so similar. And those companies are, in B2B SaaS, sending swaths of sales teams to conference to do the after parties, do the networking, do the partnerships. And that is the, I think, unsung hero of learning and development and career development, is just get in front of as many people as you can as possible. And in recruiting, the more conversations, more at-bats you'll have, the more you'll know about human nature. Yeah,
man, I never thought of that. Like, it's as a guy who sends people to conferences, you do sometimes use it as almost a reward for your more senior people. And you're right. All that does is drop us in an echo chamber. It's the same people saying the same stuff who have had the same experiences. I wholeheartily agree with you. We need to get some, more earlier talent folks out there. One of the things that how it mirrors sales enablement has always driven me crazy. But this is something I was talking to somebody else about this last week, but recruiting is interesting in this idea that you can have 5 years of experience and be equal to someone that's got 35 years of experience at the same company. That doesn't happen in engineering. That doesn't happen in sales. There are senior recruiters who in 5 to 7 years have become really badass senior recruiters. And there's guys with 25 years of experience who love the art of recruiting and didn't want to move into people leadership and deal with all that kind of crap. I don't think you can find another job that's like that. And you're right, man. Like, if we don't treat them both the same, we don't try and empower the guy with 30 years experience to learn how to use the new tools, and we don't empower the person with 7 years experience to learn all the tricks of the trade that other guy got in 3 decades, they're kind of doing them both a disservice.
And the fact that you called out it's a reward is such a disservice. Like, I've literally worked in teams where it was stack ranked and the top performers got to go to the vendor conference. And that wasn't by any fault of my recruiting director. It was just what the company decided to allocate budget for. And here's the kicker. Okay, so you get rewarded. You get to go to a conference as a recruiter to not work your recs for 3 days and to be underwater when you get back. Like, it's mind boggling. And I do want to pass the torch. I do want to be able to pay forward the generosity and spirit of collaboration that this industry has afforded me from those 25, 30, 40-year folks. How do you think recruiters can upskill and up-level their careers?
It sounds like a canned answer, but like, I think you just got to start to be a little more curious. Like, I think recruiting is one of those roles to where it is real easy to get good at like 6 things and just do those 6 things all day long. And I think that, if you look at it as like other creative profession, like, look at it like preparing food. You can be a really bang up line cook and work at the same restaurant for 2 decades and make 12 dishes exceptionally well. Or you can be the person who's like constantly trying to push new stuff. And the way that I would say they should do it is like, just kind of start to be curious how stuff works. Like I was never curious about how systems worked until I started like tinkering with systems. And then all of a sudden I started to see like, there's reasoning behind some of the stuff that used to frustrate the shit out of me. Like, oh, okay, now, like when you get into leadership for the first time and you start to realize why putting things in the system properly helps your leaders have trusted data, I was like, oh, damn, I was like the bad recruiter for like the last 15 years. Like I never put anything in the system. I think it's the same way as when you start to take a step back and think like, man, I really wish I didn't have to do X 5 times a day. Mm-hmm. And then you look at why you got to do X and then you figure out how to make X a little bit more efficient. That just comes with curiosity.
Yeah, I love that. I know we have a mutual friend in common, Jeremy Lyons. Shout out. We love you, buddy. And I always talk with him where he's building the RecOps collective. He does a lot of like hardcore niche RecOps stuff. I've worked in very small teams, even in public and private equity companies. Like it's been a small recruiting team where I've had a lot of breadth across the recruiting operations world, systems, process, data. But I never think of myself as like a RecOps person because I've always just done that stuff in addition to full cycle recruitment. And when I think about like the RecOps work, there's a lot of appetite and curiosity that can be satiated from that evolution of the role. And I'm really excited to see almost a second path for recruiters where instead of just rising the ranks as a recruiting manager and recruiting director or principal level sourcer because you're like the most badass, ML engineer sourcer out there and you sleuth GitHub. I'm excited about these RecOps roles, man, because they all come back to every aspect of the candidate funnel and like even sourcing, like sourcing tools are going to be a part of the operations in recruiting operations roles. So I think that's another area where if you're curious about systems, if you're nerdy about data, I think we're going to get smart people into recruiting. Yeah, a lot of folks are going to fall out of recruiting because of the natural market correction and just what types of roles exist in the future of work. But man, if you're smart and you love data and you love technology, like we're going to get some really cool use cases for AI in the recruiting stack because it's all people centric. The second we get more agentic consumer level tech, whether it's in an iPhone or other type of device, recruiting is going to get crazy. And I'm so excited for that because I think it's coming in 5 years. What do you think could be a career path or advice for folks that are, maybe they're not feeling the 5 hours of recruiter phone screens, but they like the idea of working with candidates?
Yeah, it's wild you say that. So I have this one recruiter that like I genuinely consider like my prototype recruiter. Like he's worked at the big companies, the little companies, he's taking stuff public. He's a guy that I go to when I'm like, yo, I'm thinking about this. What do you think? And then he speaks to me like in the voice of what a recruiter's going through today. And like, yeah, that sounds cool, Jason, but like, I don't know if I would actually do it. Like literally in the last 48 hours, he came to me and was like, dude, I think I kind of want to run like a RecOps team now when I hear the way you talk. And this is the guy who is like the closer guy, right? And I mean, this is the dude. And it's like, that is not a conversation that people would have had 12 months ago. Like the idea of a born and bred decade plus recruiter thinking that they may want to like step into a rec ops function, I think is super exciting. I mean, shit, man, I never thought I'd run systems. Like I said, like I used to be, I'll tell you honestly, the guy that I work for at Natera is a guy I've known for 20 years. And we used to be on reports together at VMware as the two worst recruiters for data integrity. And now here we are. I work for him at Natera, and all we complain about is like lack of data integrity and how we can make it better and stuff like that. So it's kind of like, I mean, you stick around long enough, right? And you reform into what you need to be.
I think recruiting is one of those fields in the business that you can get good real quick.
Yes.
And it has an exponential impact, and the rewards are so high. And my advice and like my hope for folks that are those 3-year ML recruiters out of Meta that I'm a little hard on perhaps in the beginning of the show is just like keep going, find ways to add value, do the shit that no one else wants to do, be willing to get in the office, be willing to travel, be willing to go interface face to face and deliver an offer with a candidate. Like do whatever it takes. That scrappiness mentality. Like we've enjoyed this high watermark on comp and lifestyle around recruiting in the last few years. And like, now it's go time. Like we're coming out of this layoff period. I got hit up twice this week for recruiting like first TA leader into a Series A, Series B company. And that's dope. That tells me like stuff's coming back.
That's awesome.
But yeah, man, it's like if you're in recruiting, like just keep persevering, because if you do show up for 10 years, 15 years, those opportunities are going to come. And even spend $2,000 on getting to a conference. Like even if you've got to pay that money out of pocket, it's so worth anything else you'll spend $2,000 on. It's better than a vacation. I love that you talked about a top performing closer becoming a rec ops leader. There's this dude, John Woody, that I had on the show, and he's like leading rec ops at Airbnb.
Okay.
And if you look him up, he's like mega baller. And he worked like at, a top search agency. Like he's the closer, where he, kind of hit that point in his career. It's like, actually, this is going to move the needle. Let's do this strategy work.
Sure. It really is.
And I want to hear more about yours. So like you're a former recruiter turned leader turned operator to empower recruiters with AI. Like, let's talk a little bit more there and dig in on just like what motivates you to stay doing this instead of going and doing something else.
Yeah. It really is like, I dig the craft of recruiting, man. And it's like, it's this misfit toy thing. Like nobody majors in it. And then we all find ourselves in it. And, there's a handful of jobs out there that have arguably a relatively low barrier of entry. But to your point, like done exceptionally well and looked at as a craft, you can actually really be exceptional. I think that I've always been sort of enamored by the way that engineers can create things. And I've always been the guy that supported engineers and stuff like that. So now that I'm able to do it, then I started talking with people. People just have like one-on-ones with me. And next thing you know, it's like I started helping all these like talent leaders build their little side project. And then Joe Atkinson and I, the guy I said that kind of kicked my butt to do this stuff, we were like, let's just open up a Slack channel. And
man, Joe Atkinson is such a nerd.
I mean, I got to tell you, man, I would not be making these videos if it wasn't for that dude. And frankly, I would know that dude wasn't for Jeremy Lyons. So like everything's connected, man.
I love you, Joe.
But like we started this Slack channel and we just brought people in and they started asking each other for help. And I mean, while we're giving out flowers, man, like one of the guys in there, Viet Nguyen, the guy that invented Dev Scout, like he came and he was like, I got this thing that can, basically source within GitHub. And I was like, there's a guy that ran recruiting for multiple open source companies. That was always this holy grail of ours. And I remember he goes, when I got 5 more features or whatever it was, when I put it in, then we're ready to put it out. And the response was like, why wait? Like, why wait for those 5 more features? Why don't you get it out there? And then he came back a couple weeks after that and was like, dude, can you believe I made something people actually pay for? And it's like, that felt so good because it was like, dude, this was by a recruiter solving a problem that we all had that engineers either A, didn't care about, or B, didn't want us in their safe space, which, I mean, that's a whole nother thing. Like you can look for me on LinkedIn, but you can't look for me on GitHub because that's my clubhouse. And it's like, a recruiter kick the door in on the clubhouse, man. And that to me has just been so rewarding to be able to be kind of around my people and be able to have them be one DM away and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, totally. Viet's awesome. He's done some great work. He's coming on the show when he frees up from all the great work that he's doing and building. But yeah, man, that's what I'm talking about. Is like figure out who's who and figure out who's the next gen. Because we're here and we're scrappy and we've got these tools at our fingertips. You can vibe code something, you can hard code something, like whatever it is, like the future of recruiting software and market share is going to go to people who have an immense amount of trust. And as people like me move into like budget ownership roles in the next 5-10 years, it's like, yeah, of course I'm going to like support somebody like Viet for the next 20 years if he chooses to stay in the industry. Another great name is a woman named Erin Matthew. And Erin has done more open source work in support of the technical recruiter upskilling than anybody else that I've learned on. I think I came across her repo of resources for just like how to be a technical recruiter maybe 7 years ago. And that's when I, like a former Luddite, was interested in tech, where it didn't seem like this separate world, where I started to have a little bit more understanding and curiosity around technical people and saying, like, well, hey, I understand human nature. Like, can I learn enough to be dangerous about how software is built so that I can maybe help these people get cool jobs and like make a living filling a gap and a need and a service that a company needs? And I still don't call myself like a technical recruiter, despite, you know, filling like VP roles through, ML engineers and data science folks for multiple companies and multiple clients, and like spinning up an agency to do it. Like, I think I'm a people person. I'm just a recruiter at heart. And like, I don't know, man, if you need me to fill a forklift driver role, I'll go do that too. It's just fun to talk to folks.
I love that. And I mean, that's the way that you got to operate, dude. Like, I will say this too, that, we talk about kind of older, younger, experienced, less experienced, like this sort of thing, coming from different backgrounds and like this sort of stuff. There are some people that I've chatted with that are making, they start by making a custom GPT and then they make something else. And then they get to a point where I think they get embarrassed to admit everything they don't know. And that's where it falls off. And if there's like one message I could put out is like, don't be embarrassed with like stuff that you don't know. And the fact of the matter is that you don't know it, other people don't know it either. And if you're scared to ask it, other people are scared to ask it. Like,
yeah,
when I put out this video. Okay, so ChatGPT 5 comes out and like Joe and I are chilling and we're like, you know what, dude? Like this one's actually kind of cool. Like it's a little bit more accessible. I don't know how to focus. It's a little bit more accessible. Wouldn't it be cool if we just made this like super on-ramp version of ChatGPT 5 for recruiter training? And like literally thought we might get like 50, 60 people. And like 1,200 RSVPs, 600 people. Yeah, 600 people showed up live across the two times we did it.
No way.
The tension was bananas. Like people actually stayed to the end. And then we were like, oh, anybody who wants the link, ask for it. We had 400 people ask for the link, and it's been watched close to 500 times on YouTube now at this point, without being public, like just with private sends. And it's like, we're now starting to see it pop up on like WhatsApp channels that we're on. It's really wild. But the fact of the matter is, the first couple minutes are literally explaining instant versus thinking. And the next one is like how to use these are very on-ramp type things. But the fact of the matter is everybody wants to walk around and talk about the cool shit they built. Nobody gave anybody an on-ramp. And that's why I'm here, is like, I want to give people on-ramps just to get started with this stuff.
Yeah, and that's a good point. Like there's somebody logging into ChatGPT that works in a recruiting job for the very first time today.
Yeah.
And like we need to have empathy so that those folks can catch up, because you can catch up quickly. Like you can do stuff quickly. I remember my first ChatGPT project in like, what is it, last week of November, first week of December 2023. And it was like I was spending all this time creating interview rubrics calibrated to specific levels within an org that was building a recruiting function as they were growing. And they needed just this database of how are we going to level this type of skill set? How are we going to measure it? How are we going to have that assessment process for the questions we ask so that you give an interview scorecard with the questions to a hiring manager and they're not looking for senior director answers from an IC? What was your first ChatGPT project?
Bro, it was literally telling the founder of Vectara and former founder of Cloudera, why are you doing this shit? Google exists. Like about 6 months before ChatGPT came out. Like it was literally like they came to me and they're like, yo, there's this thing called generative AI. And I was like, whatever, dude. Like I work at Roblox. I build the metaverse. Would have been much different if I would have hopped on that opportunity. So shout out Amr Alwada for giving me an opportunity to say no to AI when I could have been 6 months earlier into it. That was a big one for me. And then, I left Roblox, went to a company that did not work out. Just it's not on my resume. It's nowhere, but it had terrible 88 days of my career. And then ended up leaving that and was like, what am I going to do next? And a VC friend of mine was like, hey, I got this guy who I think you should talk to. He runs autonomous driving for Intel. So I meet this IIT grad, brilliant CTO, and he explained to me AI again. And I was like, okay, I'm going to listen to you this time. I missed the first vote, but like, I'm going to listen to you this time. He's the one that showed me ChatGPT. And like, he was the one that really and what he said was like, he says a line that I've stolen and I say all the time now is that like, this is the worst AI is ever going to be today. So it's going to be better tomorrow. Like, and he showed it to me. And then what we tried to do, we just did it at the wrong time, was our idea was if we can create something that helps non-technical people be able to facilitate technical interviews, and we will train so many voice agents that like when agents become a thing, like we'll be the company to be like the voice agent company. Downside was that was like very early 23. So like it was the nuclear winter of talent, right? So it's like everybody's laying off sourcing organizations and we're like knocking on doors trying to sell $15,000 a month like phone screen tool.
Yeah.
It was the wrong time, but that was where I first saw it. And then for, a year and a half, man, I was the dumbest guy in a room with a bunch of real smart data engineers who would tell me my prompts were terrible. And so that's how I learned. I learned in a very atypical way. And then it really dawned on me when I made my first recipe machine, which was I took everything in my house, like all the different cooking things I had, and I took all my kids' like tastes. And now it's still on my ChatGPT. When I do the demos, you can see it on the left. And I can be like, yo, I got chicken and 45 minutes and 3 kids to feed. What am I making them?
Love that.
So that was my first custom GPT. The J. Millie recipe machine is what it's called.
I'm also a dad. What are you passionate about? I think like being a working dad is fun. It's challenging. Like anybody out there that's got kids, it's like, oh man, I see you. I feel you. Like what's filling your cup?
Yeah. So three daughters. So a 16-year-old, 2 14-year-olds, twins. So I'm very much of the moment to where like, I know they're going to be gone eventually. So it's like, I want to be there for, marching band pickup and theater pickup. And I want to like go to the horse riding things and stuff like that. So that's where I feel really lucky in the role I have right now, where I get to work from home. I get to be there for them. I have a child on the spectrum. So I actually run one of the largest parent advocacy groups in Texas for kids in special education. That takes a lot of time. It's been really cool. We've embraced a ton of AI and assistive tech there, like, preparing parents when they go in to have their hard conversations with, teachers and stuff like that. Like we've got chatbots that can help them with that and really cool videos. So that's probably the other thing I do quite a bit.
That's amazing. Yeah, so much respect for all the work that you're doing in your life, for being a working dad, for giving back to the community. Any last advice for recruiting practitioners out there when it comes to the work that they're doing from an operations perspective or metrics that you think that recruiters should stand by?
I mean, it goes back to my music analogy, man, is that like used to be if you wanted to be a professional musician, like in our case, if you wanted to be able to create stuff, you had to go to school and study at a conservatory and hope that like one day somebody would die in a symphony and you'd get to hop in and take their place. And then punk rock hits and it's like you can buy a busted guitar, learn 3 strings in your bedroom and be on stage that night. Like that's where we're at today. I believe that firmly in the talent space, is if you see something that you think you could do better, take a crack at it. And if you get stuck, ask for help, find communities, come to prompt mates. You know what I mean? Hit me up on LinkedIn. Like, hit up one of the dudes we just mentioned on LinkedIn. Now is our time if we do it right. I firmly, firmly believe it.
Yeah, I love that. Jason, thank you for your time. I've really enjoyed this conversation. I love everything you shared. Thank you for challenging me to be better in this conversation. I'm going to bring that to my day. And I wish you all the best in everything you're doing. How can folks stay in touch and keep up with what you're shipping?
Yeah. I mean, the easiest way is probably LinkedIn. And that's kind of where I tend to spend most of my time. Eventually, everyone will have a Sora 2 invite as well. And you will see plenty of content on there right now. And then, I want to shout you out too, dude. Like, I've said this to you privately, but I want to say it in public. Like, I feel that the content and the style and the voice and just the imagery that you're putting out is something that has been lacking in talent. And like, keep going, man. Like, we're all rooting for you.
That means so much. I'm building this to uplift and upskill recruiters, to give people great content. Hopefully it's a little bit of infotainment and the conversations are highbrow enough to keep people learning, because I want us to keep up with the field. And I'm so excited for a career ahead and making a fast friendship with you.
Fantastic. Thanks, dude. Bye, guys.